today we are going to discuss about project structure of Android application, how Android application looks, where we can run Android applications, right? So let's start with the project structure. This is your Android Studio, right? And this is the project structure. And let's see if I tap project, if I select project, see the structure is changed, right? If I say scratches, nothing will be shown. And if I say Android, right, the structure will be set as an Android. So basically, there are these structures. So we are going to work with this Android, right? We will select this Android. You can also select the project. This will also looks good. So this is Android, right? Okay, now let's see what these project structures mean. This is application, right? This is application folder, and this is the main folder which we are going to use, right? So let's start with the very first src folder. Basically, this is the src folder which is known as Java here, right? And this is the project. This is the package which you have created yesterday, right? Acadgild.com.hello Acadgild world. So, and this is the activity which you have created. See, this is your class, right? And this is your class, simple Java class. We will discuss about these things. For now, just concentrate on the packages and where you will get the files, right? And this is for test folder. This is a test folder. And Android, you can do unit testing. Basically, unit testing is automated testing, right? Let's see. Let's say you have an application where you want to, or you can say if you have a page, right, a sign up page. There you are going to enter a username, password, or confirm password, and before that first name, last name, address, all those things, right? And you don't want to, as a testing point of view, right? Because when you are testing the application, you don't have time to write everything, right, for every time. So what we do, we automate those things. Automation, that means don't have to write manually the first name, last name, address, and all those things, right? You have to write a code. You have to link the fields and the data which you want to insert. Run your testing code. It will automatically execute your application. You don't have to do anything, right? So this is basically the testing folder. We have a proper session of the testing. We will discuss this on that session. So this is for the test folder, and this is your Java folder, right? Now, if you want to create a new file, means Java class, just go here, new Java class, give this Java class name, let's say sign up page, right? Okay, sign up page, easy. So this is how we are going to create a packages, classes. If you want to create a package, just right click here and select a package, right? So I want to create a package here. Okay, new package name. So let's say sign up right? But this will, see, I have just make it sign up. But what you have to do is you have to rename it, and if you want to rename any file or a package, anything, just go to this refactor, go to this rename, right? And let's change the name, acadgild.com.hello world, hello Acadgild world.sign. Now refactor this. Let me copy this name from here. If you want to rename the whole package, it will ask you to rename the directory, rename the package. I want to rename the package, so it is asking me the package name. Right now, cancel this. Hello. Refactor, right? And now I'm just going to copy this file, sign up. Here, right? So I'm just showing you how we are using this Android Studio, because today the main motto of our class is to make you comfortable using this Android Studio, right? Okay, now let's discuss about this resource folder. In resource folder, we have these files: drawables, layout, menu, bitmap, values, right? So let me discuss about these things. So the resource folder, which is termed as RES folder, right? Actually, this is a resource folder. Resource means here you are going to put all the resources, right? So let me draw it here. So we have first Java folder. That means your classes. And second is resource folder, RES, right? So this is a Java class folder. We have seen this. Here you will find packages. You can create multiple packages, multiple classes, right? And this is your resource folder. So what resource contain? Resource contains images, right? XML files and all those things. There's one more thing which I have to explain you. First, let's see. Here, this is the layout, right? This is your layout file. So this layout is loading. Go to this text, right? So let's discuss about these XMLs. Basically, this is your layout where you are going to create the UI, right? You can see you have multiple UIs like views, basically like button, toggle button, checkbox, radio button, check text box, text view spinner, progress bar, right? See this thing. We have a lot of views which we will use in our coming classes, right? We're not going to use all of them, right? We will pick the important one and we will use them. And all other are similar. So in assignments, and you have to use all of these views, right? Okay, so this was your layout folder, and this layout contains the view, right? In Android, we have two ways to create a view. That means user interface. So first way to create a view is using this XML file, right? You can see this is an XML file, extensible markup language file, right? And second, you can use Java classes, right? You can directly, if you want to create a view using Java class, you can directly use the Java class, right? This is menu, all right? So this is also an XML file. Menu, that means in our you can say in your application, right? In your application, let's say in WhatsApp or in Facebook and many other applications, you'll see on a top right corner, you'll find the three dots, right? And there you see, when you tap, you'll see a drop down type of thing. Let me show you. Android menu. this is the menu. When you tap on these three dots, you will get these menus, right? See this, when you tap here, you will get a menu. So we have many type of menus. We basically have three type of menus. We will discuss about them in our menu classes. Right, see this. You tap here in these three dots. This is basically an optional menu, right? When you tap here, you will get this items like with images, and in new version you can't add images. You will only get a text here. So this is your menu, right? And menu is also an XML file. You can see for now we have only one menu. This is Android setting, right? This is map value. In map, we basically add images, right? We basically add images, and these are the images: SDPI, MDPI, SXDPI, double XSDPI, triple XSDPI, right? So SDPI, that means high definition pixel independent, right? Medium dependency pixel independent. Sorry, density, high density pixel independent, and medium density pixel independent, extra, double extra, triple extra. So basically these are the size of your phone, right? In Android, major challenge to create the UI, user interface, is in creating the UI for different size of phones. Say in Android we have many sizes. Let's say HDPI, MDPI, this one, right? So then we have tablets. So when you create a UI, you have to keep in your mind that your application is going to run in all those kinds of phones, all those sizes, right? It have to support all those sizes, right? A small, bigger one, the tablet, right? So let me give an example. If I use an image, which is the size is this, right? It's look good in this small size of phone, but let's say when my phone size is going to increase, this image will got stressed. Here it is going to stretch like this, and here it is going to fully stretched, right? So it looks blurred, right? It will start looking blurred, because see, here it was, the size was this, here the size was this. See, because the image size was, let's say, 100 by 100, right? And when you are going to use in this phone, it is now 200 by 200, 300 by 300, 400 by 400, right? So image will got pixelate, right? It will start looking blurred. So what you have to do is you have to keep 4 images, right? 4 images of same size. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say the image name is profile picture, profile dot png, right? Profile picture dot png. Let me draw it here. Now this profile picture dot png. Now what I have to do is I have to keep 4 copies of profile picture dot png, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. The size is 100. Second size is 200. Third size is 300. That means 100 by 100, 200 by 200, 300 by 300, or 400 by 400. But this image name will be same, profile picture dot png. We are not going to change the profile picture like profile picture underscore 100, profile picture underscore 200. We are not going to do this. The image name will be same, but only the size will be changed, right? But we can't keep the image with the same name in the same folder. So what we are going to do is we are going to make 4 copies of the folder, and we are going to put the image with the same name and different sizes in their respective folders, right? Now, what will happen when you run your application in SDPI, that is the lower resolution phone, when you are going to run your application in the higher resolution or an tablet, your Android has a capability to auto detect the size of your phone, right? So it is going to do is, see, Android has its own capability to detect the size of the phone size, that means the screen size of the phone, right? So it will see, okay, my size is SDPI. Now I have to look in my folder. My folder is SDPI, right? This phones know that its folder is SDPI, HDPI, right? Similarly, this know that this folder has to pick it. This phone has to pick it image from MDPI, XSDPI, right? So every phone knows according to his size where he has to pick the image, right? So this is what I was telling you. If you see in this, if you see this application and a folder, let me open this in a folder. This is Hello World, right? Go to your app, sarc, sorry, app main resources. See this. We have MIPMAP HDPI, MDPI, XSDPI, triple XSDPI, double XSDPI, and triple XSDPI. See, the name of image is same. IC launcher. Here in this Android Studio, you will not able to see the folder name. If we change the project structure, let's make it project. Now open it. SRC main source. Now you're able to see the folders like this, right? But when you make the view type as an Android, you will not able to see the folders, right? For ease, it will keep it like this way, like in this way. Now open this folder. See, the image is same. The size is 72 cross 72, 48 cross 48, 96 cross 96, 144 cross 144, 192 cross 192. See, all those images are PNG, PNG images. Because PNG images are lightweighted, and so it is recommended for Android, right? And mobiles basically. So why this is why we using this map folder, right? So
Sir,
to support multiple screen sizes. Yes.
one more question I have. So, if let's say I have a new phone in the market coming up, which is a different size, which is not defined. So, in that way, what will be the default which will go? Is it going to take some default folder, or how it works?
Yeah, it will. It is going to take a default folder. See, you have, if your phone go and find a specific folder, and if it doesn't find the folder, it can pick the image to the. Let's say I will explain you here. Let's say this is a new phone, right? It want to pick it image, and it finds that okay, its folder name is something different, but it is always recommended to the vendors, like any company who is developing a phone, to not create a custom folder name, so that it works how Android is working, right? So because if it create a folder name, let's say XYZ, right? So in any phone, when developer create their application and they install the application in this phone, it will not able to find this XYZ folder, right? So if this case comes, it will see the last folder, right? The last folder, that means the last folder which match its size, right? It is not going to pick the image from this folder. First, it will see, okay, this is the last, which last, that means its size is the screen size is uh, similar to me. Let me explain this here. if your phone is triple X DPI, and if you don't have image in this triple X DPI, it will see for XS DPI, double XS DPI. If it not find in this, it will go for the here at last year, and it will, if it doesn't find anywhere, it will give you an exception, right? It will not run. Got my point?
Okay, okay. And one more thing in menu.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the menu folder. So you showed that there are certain predefined menu will come, right?
Mm-hmm.
The text box, a button, everything. So I've seen some of the application they use customized menu. So is that we have to install any third party
No,
menu?
no, no. You don't. You can create your own customized menu.
Okay, like in website you have these, no? Or you do a desktop application and you want some certain new kind of intuitive menus. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to install some third party menu builders.
Yeah, in website we have to use many. We have
Yeah,
many Java
yeah,
APIs,
yeah.
but here, we can do this. Like we can create the XML by our own,
Okay,
and we can design whatever we need. Right?
okay, okay. So it's there is no third party menu providers here, right?
No, there is not any specific third party provider, but in Git, in Git there are many developers who have created the customized menu. So if you want, you can use their code, right? But there is not any customized like vendor who is going to give you third
Okay,
party.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like in websites, there are a lot of right. Uh,
Yeah, in website we
people.
have because in website menu is the main feature of the view, right? So
Okay,
uh,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, thank you.
welcome. So this is your map folder, right? To support multiple screen sizes. Similarly, we have values, right? In values, we have colors, dimensions, colors. That this name is. I think you guys will understand what color is. Color, that means if say if you in your application, if you are using a red color, right, and your theme is red color, your theme is of red color, right? And if you want to change this red color in any specific point of time, so what you can do, you can just go to this color and change the color, right? So whole color will be reflect. This color will be reflected in the whole application theme. So basically, this is a common place where we are going to put the color, right? You can create many colors, many other colors if you want. Let's say if I want to create a new color. If you want to copy any line to the next line, just press Control D, right? This line will be copied in the next line. If you have Mac, then Command D. If you have Windows, then Control D. Let's say color red. Red. Let's change this to red. The color code of red. So let's see 645. This looks something like red, right? So let's say this is a red and this is changed. This is now changed to red. If I make it 8, 4, 8. Now this is orange, right? So you can create your own color by defining color here in this color folder. This is your resource folder, resource tag, the resource XML tag, and this is your colors. Now this is dimension, right? Let me explain you the dimension. Here we were discussing about the size, the screens, the image sizes, right? In image sizes, what we do, we so we were discussing about this profile picture like 100, 200, 300, and 400, right? And how it's going to support multiple screen sizes. Same way, what we can do, we can do one more thing. Let's say I want this image to take uh, 10 pixels from left side, 10 pixels from left side. Let's say if it is 10 pixel, here 10 pixel will decrease, 10 pixel will decrease, and here 10 pixel will something like this, right? Here, if you say 10 pixels, we are not going to use pixels in Android, we are going to use DP, right? Density independent pixels, right? DP, we are going to use DP. If I say it is 10 DP, right? So DP is a unit in Android to for measurement. Basically, we will discuss about DP in more details when we start UI designing. For now, this is your DP, right? And density independent pixel. If I say 10 dp here, if I say 10 dp here, if I say 10 dp here, so 10 dp is not going to work in this phone, and this phone, because the screen size is more. So here you can say, if for SDPI we are saying, or let's say for MDPI, if we are saying 10 dp, then for SDPI it must be 12. For XSDPI it must be 14, and for this it must be 16, right? So it's not any hardcode value. I'm just telling a ratio, right? So what we can do now is, in the same way, we have created profile picture.png for different folders, and the folder was SDPI, MDPI, double XSDPI, triple XSDPI, and right. Similarly, we can create multiple files for dimension, right? So what we can do is, we can create a new folder, new directory, sorry, new Android resource directory, values, right? So you can see here we have many names here: network code, ratio. You can make it like this, right? So I'm not going to use this for now. So values, let's say double X SDPI. Double X SDPI, right? Now what I have to do is just copy this dimension file and make a new copy here. Copy this dimension file and make a new copy here in this values XSDPI. Right? So the dimension, let's say the fab margin is 16 dp. Now, when we come to this triple axis SDPI, what we can do, we have to make this, let's say, it depends on the screen size, because when you are designing, you should know what the size of image, how much margin you need from the left, from the right, whatever, right? So it's on you. I'm just telling you, I'm just describing how we can use this dimension folder, basically, right? So let's say it was 16 there, so let's say 24 dp. Now you can see we have dimension for double access DPI, and here we have dimension, the normal dimension, right? So if you get a phone which will support double access DPI, and if first it will look in double access DPI folder, if it's find its margin, it will pick it from there. If it doesn't find it there, it will pick it from this value folder, right? So basically, this is your dimension folder, and you can create multiple dimension to support multiple screen sizes, right? Because what I have told you is, in Android, the main thing, right? A major thing is to support a screen of multiple sizes, right? And this is a major thing which we have to keep in mind while developing Android applications, right? In iOS, we have three or four sizes of a screen, right? And mostly it's work fine. But Android, we have like hundred of vendors. You have to keep in mind while designing the UI that whether it's going to support in this phone or not. And we have many vendors, like many small companies who are also developing Android phones, and they are selling it in 3,000, 2,000, right? But many things are there which are not supported in these type of phones, right? Because they customize the Android applications in many ways, right? And some sometimes these things not work there because they have customized, and actually that these are the bugs in their operating system, right? Because they have customized it. But see, and this is what you can get in 3,000, right? So, in many major vendors like if you talk about the Samsung, Motorola, LG, and these types of vendors which mostly people use, they keep in mind while customizing the Android phone that these things will be supported, right? Because this is a protocol, right? When if even if I'm customizing Android operating system, I have to keep in mind that this I have to follow the protocol, because you're designing a phone, and many of developers are there who are creating the Android application, right? So if application is not going to work in the phone is none of it. Excuse me. Okay, so this is values and this is values XSDPI, right? So any questions, right? If you can ask if you have any doubt, then I will discuss about the string folder. Now we have seen how Android supports the multiple screen sizes, right? And you have to do nothing. Only the thing which we have to do is you have to keep a right size, right information in a right folder, right? Right image in a right folder, right dimension in a right folder, right? You have to do this thing only, and all other things will be picked by Android itself. We have not only this size of SDPI, MDPI, XDPI, triple XDPI, and double XDPI. We have a lot of other. Let me name it Android multiple screen support folder names. See this, we have this folder also, SW200, SW600, SW800. Many files support this format, SW. So you have to give this also. If you are going to publish your application in a Play Store, then you have to support these things also, right? And this is the actual ratio which I was talking about. If it is 2 in small, then in normal it should be 4, in large it should be 7, in extra large it should be 10, right? So X large screen are 960 by 270 dp, large screens are 640 dp by 480 dp, normal screen sizes are 470, 320, small screen sizes are 426 and 320 dp, right? It's a approximate ratio. This is how it's looked. Low density, medium density, high density, low density, medium density, and high density, right? See this LDPI, MDPI. LDPI is now no longer supported, right? So we start with MDPI. LDPI is the small size of phone now. No company. If you have seen the Samsung phones in 2011, 12, I think they created this LDPI. But in last few years, we deprecated this LDPI. You can, if you want, you can support the lower version for low density as well. But no.
Sorry, yeah.
Mhm.
So let's go back to the development tool. I have one question there.
Mhm.
Right. So now, like, if for menu layout, everything we can make this, right?
Mhm.
For, so let's say for menu for the low size phone, I can have menu hyphen HDPI, right?
No, not for menu. Menu doesn't. Menu will not. For menu, we don't have to do this thing. We
And
have to do.
layout.
Yeah, layout. We have to do this thing. For layout, we
Okay.
have.
Okay, and now let's switch to the documentation because there I see density and size also something. Extra
Mhm.
large, yeah, small, large, extra. What is this size we mean?
Where this one?
Yeah, yeah, small, normal, large.
The screen size. See, we have two things. First is screen size, right?
Okay.
And second is the density. Density is not a size. Density means the pixels, right? Let me explain here. Density, that means this is higher density. See, every images, right? When you see this image, this image is made up of squares, right? When you zoom the image and when you see the image, you will find something like this, right? Squares, square, because image is made up of squares. When you connect the many squares, it will create an image, right? Basically, if you try to zoom the image, any image, and try to see the image, you will find many squares there. If the amount, if the square size is big, that means image quality is not good, right? If the square sizes are small, that means image are good. That means you can, this is SD image. If you see any SD images, you will hardly find these squares because that are so small, right? But the image size will be great, will be large. Why? Because see, every square contains some information. And what these information are? The color code, the bits, the image bytes, right? And other information. See, if the squares are big, the size of image is lower. If squares are small, that means if this image contain 100 squares, let's say it's not contain hundreds, contain lakhs of squares, and if this contain 1,000, then obviously the size is going to increase and the image will look good, right? So this is actually the density, right? It's not size. Size is simple thing which we see in our phone, like small phone, big phones, medium sized phone. But density is something different. Density means small phones can also support high density, right? It's depend,
Correct.
but it depends on the density which provided by the vendor. Got my point?
Yes, yes. Now it is clear. So I was confused with that. I thought density is about the size only. So
Yeah.
now
So
we in our app which we are developing, we have not used size folder, right? So it is default right now.
uh, this folder.
Yeah, there is no size, right? HDPI is like for the density mid map.
Yeah,
This is
size, we don't support size, yes. Size
yeah.
basically, you can't support a size because you can't decrease or increase the size of phone, right? Because if you have a bigger phone, if you are running the application in the bigger phone, so you have to support this bigger phone, right? We can't do this because this is a hardware thing, right? So what we can do
Uh,
is we support the
no, no.
density according to the phone.
Like something in iOS I have seen, uh, or even in this also, and right, I haven't noticed. We had one app. Uh, so I come from testing background. Actually, I do
Okay.
testing. So what happens? Like our app, the layout was different on iPad, and on iPhone it was a different layout.
Yes, yes. In Android also, we create different view in tablets because see, tablet screen
Yeah,
is
yeah.
big, right?
Right, right.
We create different view for tablet and we create different views for uh, phones, right? I will show you how we can do this in layout folder.
Okay, so in that case, we don't do anything on size. That's what my question was. Like
Yes,
anything we do.
we don't do anything in for size. What we can do is we can support different sizes, right? We can
Okay.
keep a size of phone. take your images, take your layout, take your dimension from this folder, right? We
Mm-hmm.
can almost, we can support them, but we can't change the size, right? We have to support the size. What's my point?
Yes, yes. So layout then we will be changing, right?
Exactly. This name will be same. Like if I want to create a layout for a different size of screens, then let's say if this is activity hello world, the name will be same. Only layout folder we will create one more folder. Layout SDPI, layout MDPI, layout XSDPI, triple XSDPI, double XSDPI, or SW XDPI, right? So I have shown you here the other names also, like SW200 dp, SW600 dp. Many
Yeah, yeah.
phones pick the images from these types of folder, right? So you have to support them. You have to support these screen sizes. But my point?
Okay, yes, yes.
Okay. So we have values, right? And this is the values. If I want to support a dimensions folder, right, for multiple values, then you can do this, right? So this was the dimension. If you want to create for MDPI, then create values MDPI, and according to this, you have to change the DP. And this is the ratio. This is the ratio which I want to explain you. Here it is. 2 is to 4 is to 7 is to 10, right? So if it is 2 in a small, it should be 4 in normal. It is 4 in normal, then it should be 8 in. If it is 2 in small, then 4 in normal. If it is 4 in small, then 8 in normal. So you have to increase the size according to this ratio, right? So this is your ratio. Okay, now coming to this string folder. So this is your string folder, and the string folder, we create a string folder to support multiple languages, right? So to support internationalization, let's say if you have a screens, if your application support, let's say English, right? And you want to support your application French. Let's say a French guy install your application, and his phone language was set to French, right? And the he don't know English basically, right? So his language is French. So what you have to do, you have to create a folder, right, for a string which support French language, right? I'll show you what we can do here. See, we have this thing: animator, color, drawable, font, interpolation, layout, menu. So you can create many type of views, right? I'm just going to create this new Android resource value file, string fr dot xml. I forgot the name. Let me check. It is fr or fer. Android multiple. I forgot the local name. Let me check the local name. Locale, that means the, I think for French it is FR, for Denmark it is D, for Hindi it is HE or HI. Let me see about the name. French. FR. No, it's not right. This is what I want to explain. Like, see, this is hello world, right? And it is in different language, which language it is using. It depends on whatever language you are using, right? So it depends on the phone language. But the phone language is set, you can create multiple string of a same name, right? Let's say if you have created a hello world, right? Then you have created hello world for hello world string copy for the uh, same way. Let me explain you. If I have a, right? Let's say string start XML file which support English, right? Now I have to make a copy the string start XML which support French. Similarly, if I want to support a string dot XML for Hindi, right? Then I have to create a copy of string.xml.hindi, French, English. It's on you how many language your application supports, right? We have to make a different copy of XML files. The key will be same. If you see this XML file, see here, the key is same, app name will be same, but this is going to change. Action setting, this name is same, but this name is going to change. If you want to create a new file, let's say password, right? So this key will be same. See, the string is created in this way, XML, key and value. So key will be same, value will be different for different languages, right? So as it was picking the images or sizes respective to their phone size, it will also pick the right language from the right XML file. My point? So this is why always I refer to these things are, I want you guys to look here in this developer side after this session. If you want for reading the UI, reading the, like revising the video, and you should go through, make a habit of reading these things from this developer side so that you can get more details, right? Because in 2 hours it's not possible to complete all those things, because, right? Because these things are too large. So I only describe the primary things, main things, so that you can also go and read these things by your own, right? So this supports this language. I don't know which language is this. Okay, now come back to this. Source, no folder, values, let's say values are rename this file. You don't have to make this as a fr, right? You have to keep this same, the strings.xml. See, now value fr, you have to, if you want to support multiple languages, then create this file. They see this strings.xml. right? See the flag color, the strings, right? Let me create one new file, resource, new, Android resource directory, values, and here for Hindi it is HE, HI. Let me create this HI Hindi. Copy this string files, paste it here in Hindi. See this, now it supports Indian flag, right? So what you have to do is make the same name and change it to the language you want. Let's say password, right? So, or let's say name. Let me change this to name. Let's go there and translate. Name, change it to, let's say, the now. Copy this and paste it here. See, this supports Hindi also. Now, if you change the language of your phone, and this key will be turned as this one. You want to make it French. Copy this and go to your French folder and let's create a name. Let's say name, right? But keep in mind that your string file should have all keys same, right? Your string file should keep all the keys name same, right? So basically this is a copy, right? You are creating copies of many languages. All keys are same, only the text are different, right? So this is how we support multiple languages, right? And okay, so now this is your resource folder. This is your drawable folder, right? This is same as this map folder, right? Here we will create uh, you can say whenever you create a layout, right? Let's say you have a button, you tap on a button, you want to show a selector. When I say selector, that means you tap on the button. While tapping, you want to change its color, right? Let's say when I tap, when I'm moving here, my cursor, see the image background is now changing, right? See this image background is changing. When I tap, the image color can change, right? So basically this is the selector. So you can create the selector XML files, right? And if you want your application to provide a single image for all screen sizes, then you can also put it in drawable. If you want to create a customized background, customized color, not color, customized background, and you are creating a XML file, basically a styles file, which I want to explain. You can put it in drawable, and we'll see how we can create drawable in our upcoming examples. So any question in our resource? Now I'm going to explain this manifest file, then I will explain the Gradle file. So let me know if you have any query.
No question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so now coming to this manifest file. If you're coming from a web background, so you can assume this as a web config file, right? And what it actually is. So let me explain you. When you're installing, it installs your phone in your application. In your phone, when you install a application is in your phone. Sorry. So what you do, you search application, you install your application in the phone. Now what actually happened? Your phone looks for the permission which will be used by your application. Let me write it here. Manifest file. Right? This is your manifest file. Now, what it does, first thing what it does is permission. We have a thing known as a permission in Android. See, permissions are something when you install your phone, install an application in your phone, you see that your application is going to use your contacts. Your application is going to use your uh, gallery. It asks for email permission, contact permissions, right? It asks for the SD card permission, internet permission, Wi-Fi permission, an application. Whenever you install an application, see, it asks for the it asks you that this your application is going to use these permissions, right? So basically, whenever application is going to install, first your mobile phone, this is my mobile phone, and I'm going to install this application, right, in my mobile phone. This mobile phone checks the manifest file, right? First file which is read by the phone whenever you are going to install an application is this manifest file, right? It read this manifest file, and what it checks, it checks the permissions. It checks the permissions on all other things which we will discuss in a few minutes. So first is the permission. It checks the applications, read the manifest file, find out all the permission that this application is going to use this functionality of my phone, right? And yes, while creating a manifest file, you have to give the permission of all those things, right? Let me show you here. This is my application. If I want to use internet permission, right? So I have to give the user permission, let's say internet. Right? See this in permission. This is the user permission. We have many other permissions you can want to use. Let's say if you are going to use gallery, images. See these permissions. Location, if you want your application to open the if your application is using the GPS, then you have to give this location permissions. Network state, if your application is checking the network state, whether the application is in Wi-Fi or mobile network, then you have to give this network states. You have a lot of things, lot of permissions which you have to give while if you are using the camera, then you have to give the camera image. When I say using, that means your application is using the camera. See, camera is not created by the application, right? Camera is a default property of OS. It is OS property. So whenever your application is going to use the feature of OS, you have to take a permission from the OS that, okay, this is my application. I want to use your camera. I want to use your broadcast. I want to use anything, video, right, XYZ. And all those things are defined here in this manifest file. And let's say in a new version of Android, you have one more functionality. You can go to application settings and you can go to the application setting and you can check the permissions. You can change the permission after installing also. Let's say if your application is using, if any application is using 5 permissions, right? and you don't want that application to give the permission to read context from your contact list, right? So what you can do, you can go to the application permissions, right, manually in the settings, and you can off the permission of context. Then your application, or then that application is no longer allowed to take or fetch the images, fetch the contacts from the contact application, right? Similarly for the camera, see there are a lot of permissions you can use. So you got this thing. What is permissions?
One thing, so if I don't give, let's say, my app I'm using, I haven't given asked user for the permission, but still I can use that, right?
No, if a user, see, there are two things. There is a user who installing the application, right? And when you didn't give a permission for this thing, your application, and you are going to use it. Let's say you have didn't give the permission for camera, and you are going to open a camera, right? Then application will crash. Crash, that means it will be. When I say crash, that means it will be closed, right? It will be
Okay.
force closed. You are no longer, like, you are not allowed to
No,
use.
let's say I have not asked user permission for the camera, but still in my app I am using camera. That is
Yeah,
possible
then
because
your
I
application will post closed.
no, see, in earlier in Android version they never used to ask these permissions, right?
Mhm.
But it has
So earlier
recently.
also they are used to ask the permissions, right? But the way to show it and the way to handle is now changed, right? Earlier also they are using the permissions. The permissions are from
Okay,
the initial stage of Android.
okay.
Yeah.
So is it possible? See, because what happens sometimes you see, na, this uh, you don't show it to the user, but still you get that permission. That's what I mean.
No, no, you can't do this. Like, if you, like, while installing the application, you should have to show it. Otherwise, you're not allowed to use it.
Okay.
Because see, so it is defined in manifest file as a security point of view. This is
Mhm.
defined in manifest file. So whenever your application is going to install, phone first check this manifest file, right? Phone, that means your operating system make a list that okay, this application A is going to use these, and these permissions, right? So whenever you are going to open a camera, operating system first checks. That means your kernel check, okay, this application is going to use my camera. Let's check its permission table. It checks the permission table. It finds okay, it has a camera allowed. Let him use camera. If it is not found in the manifest file, then it will be not allowed. Operating system is not going to read this manifest file every time. It read the manifest file, keep the information in its um, database, or where whatever, like database or in a registry, right, or in a stack. So whenever you are going to use the camera, it will find that okay, you are allowed to use camera or not. If you are not allowed, then you will get a error,
So
right? So this
this
is the permissions. Mhm.
okay. So Android has its own database where it records these permissions value, right? Because anyone can change these this manifest file, right?
No, anyone, that means only developer can change the manifest file. If you have a code
No,
after.
what normally we do in testing, right? We go to this manifest file to see what is the starting activity and
Mhm.
these user permissions. So what I can do, I can replace the original manifest file and I can make my own manifest file there, right?
So if you can do this, if you have a whole code, right? If you have, you are doing this because you have whole code, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
have a code and you are creating a new APK file, so that APK file is based on the manifest file, right? So if you are creating a new copy of the basically the .apk file, so it's all different stack. Because if you have generated the APK, you have uploaded it to the Play Store, then no one can change the manifest file, right? After uploading it in the phone, after installing it in the phone, you can't change the manifest file. But yes, before installing, if you have a code, you can do anything.
Okay.
Hmm. Okay, so this is your application folder, application tag. See, application start, application close. Now here you are going to define the activity, services, components, and many things. So with this permission, you can also define the components. So Android, in the last class, I have told you that Android had four component: activity, services, broadcast, receiver, and services. Sorry, content provider, right? So whenever you are using any of the component, you should have to define it here in this application, right? Because Android components, all they are runs on the Android in the application main thread, right? We will discuss. This is the main thread which we have discussed in our last class, the process which is started by the operating system known as a main thread, right? So whenever you are creating any new activity or any component, you should have to give its definition. Currently, we have only one activity, hello world activity. You can see it here, right? So we have defined it in activity tag, right? This is a label that means activity name. This is a theme which we are using. This is the intent filter. We will discuss about intent filter. For now, you can understand this intent filter as um, if you give intent filter this main and launcher, this activity will be a starting point of your application. See, in when you run a normal Java code, then public static void main is a starting point to start an application. Here in Android, whenever you create an application, the activity which have this tag main and launcher will start with is going to start first, right? Because you should need a entry point to your application. So this is the first restraint, and you can't give this main and launcher to multiple activities. It can be given to only one, right? And this is the intent filter. Basically, intent is a messaging. Intent is used for messaging, right? And starting the components. So intent filter, that means whenever you send a message, right? Uh, it will filter the intent, which intent is starting the activity, and it is defined in the intent filter. We have a proper session for the intent filter. For now, you can assume this intent filter main and launcher. Use this intent filter tag inside the activity. See this start and closing. The intent filter inside this activity, right? For starting and closing an activity, and this is your application. Here, allow backup is true. Yeah, that means you're in, take the backup of the application, and this is your icon of application. This is label of the application. Support RTL is true. Theme is app theme, right? So you can change the theme also. And you can do many more in this application tag and manifest file. For now, this is a simple version. And now let me repeat the line. Why manifest is used because manifest file contain all the informations related with the application. And before installing the application in a phone, first your phone checks the informations entered or written in the manifest file. Then only your application is allowed to run. If you are using an activity and you don't define the activity in your manifest file, then when you open that activity, your application will get crashed. When I say crashed, that means you will get a runtime exception. Your application will be closed, right? So this is your manifest file. Let me come to this course material. Okay, so let's see these toolbars and navigations bar. So this is your toolbar, right? This thing is your toolbar. From here, you can choose the tool for running an application. You can tap here, you can change the application, right? Just for debugging, for cut, copy, go to last page, go to next page, right? So if you are here, if you want to go to the last page where you are working, just tap here and go back, right? Not the last page, last operation which you are doing. And this second is a navigation bar, right? So this is your navigation bar. Here we can navigate to the different screens. And this is your working area known as a dashboard, or you can say the editor, right? Here we are able to edit these things. And this is your project. If you want to close this, tap here, right? You can also tap here to close it. This is the structure file, right? And this is project where we are going to use, which we are going to use. And this is your Gradle file. We have two Gradle files. Now we are going to discuss Gradle file. Let me explain you the features of this framework first. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's see what I have completed. Okay, this SRC folder is completed, right? And we have discussed the resource, Java, manifest file. Test folder contains the testing for unit testing, right? And this is a Gradle file which we are going to discuss now. But before that, let's see this idea file. These are the like this Gradle file, this idea file. These are the self-generated file, right? You don't have to do anything in this. Whenever you run your application, this data will be automatically created, right? So basically, this is a metadata. Metadata, that means the information used for your application by Android Studio. So these files will be automatically created, updated, right? In applications folder, you have to work in this SRC. This build libs. You have to, if you have any library file, if you are using any external library, you can put it in the libs folder, right? And this is a Gradle folder. You don't have to do anything here in this Gradle folder. Similarly, we have git ignore file. Git ignore file, if you are uploading your application in a Git, right, Git repository, and you want to ignore Git to any folder, you can add this here. These auto-generated files will be ignored. And if you want to put your own Git, put your own implementation, you can do it here. This is the Gradle property which we are using. Gradle W files. So this is also self-generated. Bat file imp local properties setting.gradles. Right? You have if your application has multiple modules, you can add the multiple modules here. Right? Module stat means an Android we can support multiple modules. Right? Multiple module stat means currently we have only one modules which is app. If you want this application to run two modules at the same time, you can create multiple modules in the same folder. What you have to do is file, new module, right? You will similarly like for app, you will get a new module here. You will get it is something like this supports multiple applications. See, if you have two version of an application, you can create multiple modules, right? And what you have to do is you have to change the module before running. If you want to create a new module, and add it in the edit configurations, right? Add on tab, Android app. You can select the module. Currently, we have only one module, so we are selecting app. If you are creating a new module, you can select the other module also. Now I'm not going to use this, so close this. Okay, so let me show you this. This is the build process involves many tools and process that convert your project into an Android application package known as your APK, right? So this is how APK is generated. Let me show you your application module. This contains source, resource file, and AIDL file. Right? AIDL file is a protocol used for creating the services. Currently, we are not using any AIDL file. These are the dependencies. Dependencies, that means if you have used any library, any ARR file or jar files, application modules and dependency, they all compile, right? And they create .dex file, a complete single dex file. And compile resources, and that will be created to .apk file with the help of apk packager, right? And this is debug or release key store. If you are releasing your application to Play Store, then you need a key store. Key store is used for, or you can say a key store is a key used for uploading an application in a Play Store. If you are using a debug, then you don't need to create a key store. But if you are creating a release or signed application, signed APK, then you need a key store. So this is how application compiles, these folders compiles, and that this create a text file. This is the same thing which we have discussed yesterday, right? Where which I have explained you how text file runs, how text file created, right? So these things basically get compiled, right? Yesterday we have discussed how compilation complete, how compilation done, and here we are discussing what get compiled. The application module and dependencies got compiled. They create .text file, and with the help of APK packager, we get a APK file, right? That is zip file. Now we are going to discuss Gradle file. Okay, so let's discuss Gradle file. Gradle file, right? So this is your Gradle. What Gradle means? Gradle is actually a building tool, right? When I say building tools, what I mean to say is, if you are coming from other backgrounds, you may assume that as a POM file, right? Or like Maven is also a building tool. It support .pom file. Gradle is also a building tool. It support .gradle file. So what actually it is? It is a configuration. You are saying configuration that my application, right, is going to use Android SDK 4 or Android SDK 7 or API level 21, 22, 24, anything, right? My application is going to use these external libraries. My application is going to use this. Let me show you here. Build.credit, right? This is a building tool. When I say building tool, what it's going to build? It is going to build your application. Building your application, that means, see, you are going to run your application, right? And before giving it to the compiler to run, you should have a complete version of application without any error, right? If any error is coming, right, your application is not going to compile. Or even if it's compiled, it will run, it will get an error while running, right? So basically, before running your application, you need a complete build application, right? That everything is now fine. We are ready to compile the application. Previously, right, these things done manually, right? You have to enter all those things. We have to write all these things manually. But uh, with the when this Gradle build tool comes, or when this Ant, Maven, they all are the build tools. When they came, we only write the script. We say, okay, my application, which is Android application, is going to compile in Android SDK version N, right? My Android application, which is a default config, which have a default config, which has ID this. Minimum SDK version is N. Target version is N. Version code is 1. N is Nougat, right? And test instrumental, I'm using Android JUnit runner, right? This is build types, which I'm going to minify enable. Minify enable, that means whenever your application is installed, or when APK is created, it minify the size. I'm just make it false. My progard file is this. Progard is used for encrypt your application code, right? And these are my dependencies. Previously, if you are using any third-party library, if you are using any support library, you have to define all of them in this library folder. Sorry, this libs folder, right? Now, if you want to get any third-party library, what you have to do is you just have to define it here in this dependency. Like your application is dependent. So before running your application, what it does, it will download all the required file from the server, from anywhere, whatever you have written here, and it builds your application. Let me show you a Gradle file, Android, let's say Picasa, Picasa is used for downloading the images from the network. It is a third-party library. I want to add this third-party library in my application, right? So I just want to add this dependency. So copy this dependency, go to your dependency folder, right, paste it, right? Instead of downloading the jar files and adding it in the libs folder, just write compile this Picasso and sync it now. Now wait, it will download this Picasso, right, from this specific network. See, this Gradle is building, downloading this Picasso, right? Gradle is in process of building the application. So my Gradle is downloaded. This is something, this is an error. This is not related to this Gradle file. Right? This is due to, I have to restart my machine and it will go down. Sometime your Gradle, sometime your studio will give some types of error which are not actually related. But that was actually meaningless, right? So sometime you have to restart your Android Studio machine, that will go down. And this is one more thing. Build. If you have added a new class, or you have created a layout, you have added an image, something is some error is coming, then you can go to this clean project, rebuild project. Basically, this will clean your project and rebuild it. If any error is coming related to the temporary files or the location, that will go off, right? So this is simple, right? If you are using a Gradle file, you can see this Gradle, right? So this is wrapper.char file. This is your Gradle file. Now we have two Gradle files. First Gradle file is specific to the app, this app, right? And what I have told you that we can create multiple application in a same application, multiple modules in a same application, right? So for that, we have created two levels of Gradle file. First level is application level Gradle file, which is this one which we have discussed, right? And the second is application level Gradle file. This is the application level Gradle file, right? In this application level Gradle file, what we can do, we can set all the related building information, right? And all the related building information are this build script repository. I'm going to use this Google Chase Center class path is this, the Gradle class path is this, right? Gradle is actually a tool, right? It's not a XML file. Internally, a tool is running, a tool is doing all those things for us, right? And this is the tool, com.android tools build Gradle 3.0.0. All projects, repository, Google J Center, right? So we have many things related to related to this build Gradle file, and this Gradle file is here. We define the include. If we have any other app, let's say we have two modules, then we have to include this module here. Let's say app second app 2, let's say, but we don't have any app 2, so I'm not adding this, right? So we have two levels of Gradle file. First level of Gradle file is application related Gradle file, which is here, and second is this, sorry, module related Gradle file, which is here, and second is application related Gradle file. And we can create only one Gradle file of application, one Gradle file of module, right? So let's see the definition of Gradle file. We have added this Gradle file, right? We have added the Picasa Gradle file. My screen is still showing.
Just now it went.
Okay, whenever I open this, like the zoom tool, it automatically goes off. Okay, so let me show you the application. This is the Gradle file. Gradle build can be categorized into two parts. Top level build file. The top level build.gradle file located in the root project directory, and it's defined by defined builds configuration that applies to all module in your project, right? And we have module level build file, and we have the application module build file. So with time, when you start working in Android, we'll get more comfortable with this Gradle file. So basically, what we does in Gradle file, we write a script, right? We add all those informations which we need to build our application. We add all the third-party libraries in this way, compile, which we are using. Then we sync it, right? If you have added the Gradle file, you should have to sync it. Then it will again run your application, right? And finally, your application will be run, and you will able to view it in the simulator, right? I run the application. Okay, so now the next thing is running the application. My application is running, and before running the application, are you guys installed? Did you guys install this Android Studio?
No, not yet. I have to install.
Okay. Okay, yes. So install it, right? And so otherwise you will find troubles in the upcoming sessions. To install it, you have now 5 days. Install it, run it. So I'm application installing in my simulator or emulator. In iOS, this is known as simulator, and in Android, we say it as emulator. Installing the APK. Emulator is actually very slow. Whenever you install create an emulator, your application, your system gets very slow because a virtual device will take a much memory area. Okay, so let's discuss the emulator installing the application. So go there and let's discuss. So now Gradle is clear. Any query in Gradle?
We cannot install on real device.
Yes, we can install it on a real device. In next session, I will install the application in a real device. Right. For now, today I want to explain the emulators and all those things. Right?
Okay.
So emulator.
But this is generally very slow, and I think only in Mac machines, because even on when we do it on our we use Hockey app.
Okay.
So there also, when we do it on emulators, it's very slow.
Yeah, it takes much area. Like it's like occupy the RAM. 2 GB, 3 GB. So this is your application. Now application is, this is your menu. So this is now a simple application with Hello World. So before running this, let me explain you what is emulator. Emulator is basically a virtual device, right? When I say virtual device, that means a device which looks like a phone, but actually it's not a phone, right? So this is a virtual device, right? I have created this virtual device from from here. Tap AVD manager, right? I have already these devices created. If you want to create a new device, if you don't have any device, just go to this create device and select this phone, select the option whatever you want to create for Pixel X, for Pixel XL, Pixel XS as if you want to create for pixels, and go to next, right? I already have this Pixel X images, right? Basically, see, it need a hardware level things because it's working as a operating system, virtual operating system running on a top of Mac operating system or Windows operating system, right? See, this emulator is a whole operating system, right? A virtual device, which we say a virtual operating system, right? Which is running on the real Mac OS or in your side or Windows or in Ubuntu, right? So before creating this, if you don't have this system image, you have to download it. I already downloaded this for Oreo. If you want to download it for 27, download it, right? Whenever you after downloading, select it, go to next, right? You can check the graphics, hardware, automatic software. So best recommended is to make it automatic. Finish it, you will get a Android AVD, Android Virtual Device. Now, this is Android virtual device which you can create, and when you run your application, right, if your virtual device is running, you will get a list of virtual device. Select it and okay, and that will be running. Correct. Now, one more thing which I want to explain is, this is actually an important thing. This is your mobile. And this is your computer. Right? This is your mobile and this is your computer. Now, this is your mobile. That means, let's say this is your emulator. This is my mobile emulator and this is my computer. Now what I want to do is I'm running this emulator with this computer. Now we have one more thing which I want to discuss is this one. ADB. ADB. And what is ADB? ADB is Android Let me show you it here. Android debugging. Android debugging bridge. See the name, Android debugging bridge. What it does, whenever you want, or your emulator, mobile emulator wants to connect this computer, right? What is actually happening inside is this ADB help us to connect this to this computer, or more specifically, you can say Android Studio, right? When I say computer, that means Android Studio. So you are running Android Studio in your computer, right? This is emulator or mobile device. Now you want to connect, right? You want to run your application in a mobile, right, or emulator. Make it to or. right? You want to run your application in mobile or emulator, and this is your Android Studio, which is in computer. They both are different, right? They both are in different platforms. They are both in different operating systems. But you want to run your application here, so you need help of this Android debugging bridge. Android debugging bridge help us to connect the Android Studio to this mobile or emulator. It is actually a server. You don't have to install this server and you don't have to do anything about with this ADB, but internally this server is running, right? If you have created application in networking, like if you have created sockets in Java, you should know that if I want to, if I am connecting to a socket, I need a server. We write socket codes for connecting the different terminals, right? So basically, this is your ADB Android debugging bridge, which connects your Android Studio to your mobile or emulator. Let me show you here. Uh, Here it is. Let me open the terminal. If you want to open a terminal, right? Terminal, right? See, this is my terminal. Kill server. I want to kill the server. ADB kill server. I have already run this kill server. So it is showing me the last operated command. So this is my command, kill server, kill the server. Now my ADB server is killed, right? Now if when I run the application, you can see no Android device will be shown in the deployment target. So it is showing, let me check. Okay, when I open this, it automatically is starting the ADB, right? But sometime it happens that when I select this run, it is automatically starting the ADB, so the device is showing. Sometime it might happen that you open this, you run your application, and you're not able to see this emulator here, but even your emulator is open. In this case, what you have to do is just tap this ADB kill server, right? And after killing the server, tap here and just try this ADB start server. That's the thing, right? You have two commands, ADB kill server and ADB start server, right? So that means what you are doing is you are killing the server at a time, and then you are again starting the server. Sometimes it happens that this server is not able to fetch the image, the mobile or emulator from the list, right? Then you have to kill it and start it. So this is how we are going to create the emulators. Okay, fine. So let me show you how we can create the other tools for running the application. Let me show you it here. So we have two other tools, the third-party library, which we can use to run the application. One is BlueStack and second is Genymotion. You're going to start the BlueStack. Let me show you the video. It's a third-party virtual machine. You can download it, right? And you're going to start it as an external application. And when you start your run application, this will be start showing. Okay, so this is how it's run. Run the application. You can also install your WhatsApp, and basically this is something customized, which looks more good, right? So you can install this BlueStack and run your application here. Similarly, if you want to use Genymotion, you can use the Genymotion. First you have to do the sign up, and then only you can use the Genymotion, right?
Genymotion is paid, right?
I think last time when I used it was free. I think it is for 30 days or for 15 days it is free. I think it is trial. You get the trial version for 30 days, I think. Right? Okay, so this is how we use BlueStack and Genymotion. Now, if you want your application to run, right, what you have to do is just go to the setting, go to the developers option, right, and in about phone option, tap the build number. You have a build number there. Tap the build number for several times, I think for 5 or 6 times. Then you will get an option that your developers option is open, right? Go to your application setting, about phone, build number, tap there for 5 6 times, then developer option will be open. When you come back, you will see the developer options, the option for the developer option. Now whenever you plug in your device, check the developer option true, right? Check the developer option, and then only your phone, your external phone, will be allowed to connect to this Android Studio, right? So I will recommend to use the phone, the real device, because the simulator will make your system slow. So this is pathetic. So this is, we have done this. This is in manifest file. If you want to support your application for all sizes of a screen, in manifest file we can do many things, right? If you want your application to support only small screens, only normal screen, only large screen, right? You can write this information in this in your manifest file. Support screen Android resizable. Say small screen true or false. If you say true, then your application will be supported for the small screen. If you say false, your application will be supported to the your screen will be supported to the will not support it to the small screen. Similarly for normal screen, large screen, and other screens, right? This is how, if I want to in resource layout folder, if I want to support the landscape, right? Let's say if my application is here, go to main resource. Now this supports only, go to this. If my application supports only resource file, Android resource directory, go to this layout and change it, layout LAN. Now I have one more folder, layout LAN. What you can do here is you can create your views for landscape, right? So you can create it for horizontal and vertical both, right? By default your application support vertical. If you want to support your application, if you want your views to support landscape mode also, you can create the same screen. Let's say this is your layout file, right? If you want your layout file to support landscape mode, that means go to your design and go to this and make it landscape. See, this is landscape mode, right? So if you want to create for landscape, then you have to create it same layout files. The same layout file with the same name. Copy this and paste it here. What you have to change is it, you can change the view style. View style, that means the look and feel of the view, but the name, if this contains this include as a hello world, you should have to define the same thing as a hello world. You can only change the orientation and the size and all those things, but the name and the views should be same, right? So this is a copy of the same vertical thing, but this copy is the size and the other things are different, right? So you can create layout LAN, you can create SW and STPI, LDPI, so it's on you. So I hope you enjoyed the session today. We will in next session we will discuss about Android fundamentals and user design. And next session, we will see our activity life cycles, and we will create the Android applications and all these things, and we will see how we can customize the resource file. So we have done with the fundamentals, right? From next session, we will start coding. So I hope you guys installed the Android Studio and all those things, right? And you can connect the Android applications and all those things, so that you can start writing the code from the next session. Thank you for the joining.
Bye bye.
Acadgild. Average is dead.